When you have everything in one place, you can create a really solid process and probably automate a lot of things so that you can actually get all of these very manual processes out of the way so that recruiters can actually talk to people.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today, we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday like today for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. And occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that he's been thinking about in the recruitment space and wants you to know. And as a reminder, if you like the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, today's episode is going to be in the tactilosophy vein that Vivien and I have found ourselves venturing into a few times this year. Subject: the cost and benefits of a consolidated tech stack. So what's the true cost of your setup, your money, your time, your sanity? And then what are the pros and cons of having best-of-breed point solutions versus having everything in one place? So as I teased out, here to join us for this episode today is your favorite Tactilosophy Tuesday co-host, Vivien.
Well, hello there.
Hello. It's become a thing. I think we've broached the subject enough where it's like, all right, tactilosophy. It's going to be Merriam-Webster's most new best word, whatever that every year they come out with like something, the ridiculous word or the new word that's being added. Mark your calendars, people. Tactilosophy is going to make it on there.
I love it. It's tactical philosophy, philosophically tactical.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, this came up from a conversation that stemmed from a customer, but we hear this all the time with just recruiters in this space. It doesn't matter if you're a Loxo user or if you're a recruiter or anything else, but this overarching theme of what's the job to be done of a recruiter? And there's so many different points of that where people are like, okay, I need the absolute very best thing to do all this. I need the best ATS. I need the best contact information. I need the best recruitment CRM, the best outreach tool, blah, blah, blah. But then when you go and start to weigh all of that out, it's like, how does that compare to everything all in one place? Because like you guys were just getting to, it's not just money that you're talking about at any point when you start going through this. There's a number of other considerations. So yeah, for today's like kind of like, we're going to get tactical, but we're going to talk philosophy as well with it. But just like, how do you weigh out the two? It's like a recruiter has a job to be done with all these different things, but at what point should they be thinking about like how this all comes together and the ability to execute on it? So I'm going to stop rambling for a second now and let you get into the good part.
Let's do it. So let's start with the obvious one, which is money. So a lot of times and we kind of coined the term Frankenstein tech or Frankenstack or something like that.
Yeah.
Frankenstack, exactly. And so the philosophy and approach that people usually have, or like the thought process is like, well, I need the very best. So if it's a little bit more expensive, it's totally fine, because then I have the very best of this particular thing. I have the very best of this particular thing. And they think that by having the very best, they're going to get a significant ROI on it that is marginally significantly higher than if they had like a fully integrated all-in-one kind of solution that just had it all, but maybe not all the bells and whistles that all these individual things have, that maybe is 80% as good as this other thing. And so this is where cost-wise it stacks up, but typically gets justified as, well, it's the best of the best. And if it's the best of the best, then obviously it's making us the best of the best. But what a lot of times people aren't weighing in is, okay, what is the actual cost of using it on a day-to-day basis? Let's take money aside. What does this actually look like in the day-to-day? And the first one that kind of comes to mind is recruiters are allergic to data entry. So, and data in is data out. Now, when you start to have multiple different places where recruiter have to take one contact or one candidate and put them into this system for tracking purposes, this system for contact info, this system to contact them, now they're entering the same person 3 times. And how is that data connected? Let's say you have an integration. How much is the integration actually sharing? That's another one. And how updated is it? If it's getting updated in your CRM, are you manually then going back and updating it in your outreach tool? Or do you have an integration where it's updating? How does it work? And so I basically jumbled a bunch of different things together, but essentially, what is the cost of a recruiter needing to log in, log out, and task switch essentially from one place to another? How much can you automate? And then when they're doing all of that, what are all the different places that a recruiter now needs to check for context and background information about this one person? Suddenly, it's not everything in one place. It's, okay, in this tool, I have information ABC. In this tool, I have this other set of information. And this is where it kind of comes down to, what is the cost of recruiters needing to switch back and forth between all of these things? What is the cost of the data most likely not talking to each other? What is the cost and potential risk of your team not having all the information in one place but needing to check in different places? And is there a big risk in them not checking all of them all the time? What happens if they're in a rush and they haven't checked what's going on in your outreach sequencing tool? What happens when you then reach out to them? Like, there's a lot of disconnect that starts happening. There's a lot of additional labor. And one of the biggest hurdles with any tool is adoption. And so how's your adoption? How's your data when you have everything so fragmented and segmented?
Yeah, it's bad. Especially even some of the other things I was thinking about as you're going through that. It's like, what's your source of truth? Your true source of truth. Like, that's up for debate by the team. If you ask each vendor, of course, they're going to want to say that their source of truth, so it makes them as sticky as possible. And when that happens and all these integrations are being set up, say you have Vivien Marin in each of these three systems, you update her in one, is that going to overwrite the others? Is it not going to sync to the others? What if you accidentally put something that's incorrect in one and that pushes to others? Or how that all comes into play? It can get very messy very quick. So just some more things to think about as we're saying, like, the cost trade-off to all of this. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, not saying that you should do it, but things that should absolutely keep in mind as you are evaluating all of these. So, okay, so that's the best of breed point solution side of things. Now, on the consolidation standpoint, like, why is that most beneficial, or where do you see that play out with, like, whether it's our customers or even in like the marketing space? HubSpot does a great job of this with for businesses, marketers, sales reps, customer success, support people are all in the same system. So let's talk a little bit more about that side too.
Having everything consolidated, that way you just have that one source of truth. And it makes it a lot easier because then it's a lot easier to set expectations with your team as well. So if you then want to run analytics and really drill down on where is the team really succeeding, what are some of the things that are slowing them down, where are the numbers quite what they need to be for us to actually hit those goals? If everything is disconnected, it's really hard to start running that data. And if you want to connect it all into one place, this is where it gets really difficult because each system is created differently. So even if you have all of these different vendors integrate via API into some kind of reporting system, their structure and how they do it is going to be different. It's never one-to-one. So for systems, there is not like one blueprint or template that everybody just copies and pastes and then builds their system on top of. It's very different. And this is why it gets really difficult to really drill down onto specific things when it comes to reporting and trying to figure out how can we actually help the team get better? What are some of the coaching opportunities where we can upskill them? Where are they really good? Where we don't need to worry about that. And so this is where reporting wise, you're losing a lot of potentially valuable data and connection points just because everything is so fragmented and then you don't know what is the one source of truth. Because the other piece to that, to having multiple different tech stacks and vendors, is that each team member is going to say their source of truth is in different systems. So across your team, you're also going to have people that say, all of my most updated info is in system A. Somebody else is going to say, no, for me, it's actually in system B. And so I see this for recruiting firms that split their tech stack and have recruiters use system A, and then business development uses system B. And so this is where that disconnect already happens, even though they're very much integrated. They have access to both systems, but when recruiters are moving fast, they don't think to check two different systems just in case. They want to trust that where they're looking has the info that they need to make a decision on the spot. And so with having one system, you avoid that potential disconnect and potential issues as well. So that's one piece to that. The reporting is another piece to that. And the third one is you can actually leverage automations, because when you have a system that has fully integrated and has the key things that you need, that's finding contact info, managing what you have, and then communicating and things like that. When you have everything in one place, you can create a really solid process and probably automate a lot of things so that you can actually get all of these very manual processes out of the way so that recruiters can actually talk to people. Because recruiters, they're allergic to data entry. They don't want to do a whole lot of admin stuff. They don't want to have to following up and things like that. They do want to provide an excellent service, but they're so busy they don't have the capacity to send updates and all that kind of stuff. But if you can have one system where you can automate that through automations and things like that, then you can still provide that white glove service without actually needing to spend a lot of continuous labor on it. You just set it up once, it is running, and that way you really just clear up all of these manual things that are very valuable and that are white glove and that should be happening. But you don't make them do it manually one by one, like, oh, Sam, I need to update you. You haven't heard from me in about a week. Let me send you this quick little email. Instead, you can just set up something that automates it immediately as okay, if I don't take them out of the sequence after 1 week, then they just get this next update. And that just makes things a lot easier. There's a lot less manual stuff that needs to be done, and the odds of the data being as updated as possible and all the data that people need to make a decision is all in one place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. It's such a good example. So let's go. I know we said that we're going to do tactilosophy. So I'm starting to wrap my head around okay, how can we make this a little bit tactical? What's the takeaway today? What's a recruiter? What can they do with this? So curious to get your thoughts. Here's something I'm taking away that I want to hear what you're coming up with. So from a tactical standpoint, we all do this all the time. I want best of breed X. There's a very specific job. I want the absolute best sourcing tool. I want the absolute best contact information tool, best biz dev information, whatever it may be. One thing that I've found is that if you really go in and look at what information are you using, what workflow, what is it about this best of breed product that you're using, usually most of that, it's not, I don't want to say it's completely commoditized across all the products, but what makes someone best of breed usually is, like you said, it's the bells and whistles. It's the super shiny, sexy stuff, but in reality, you don't use it that often. So go and look back at, with BizDev, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? With sourcing, what is it I'm trying to accomplish? If that information is in a tool that has all this in one spot versus the point solution, that's a good point to ask yourself, am I buying this just because it's the best, because I can, brag about, I can afford this great tool, or I want to get this because it's known as top of the line. But that's where I usually look at it and say, what's the real reason for it? So from my tactical standpoint, that's one of my takeaways when I start to go and look at this, is asking that little bit deeper question for myself when evaluating those.
For sure. And that's definitely something that I would recommend doing as well. The other piece to that is, whatever your current tech stack is, I would really do a deep dive into what can this particular vendor do, and really evaluate what are the different capabilities. Because a lot of times, especially when tech moves really fast, you probably have no idea about all the recent releases, how they can be leveraged and things like that. So part of that is really doing a deep dive and re-educating yourself on the full capabilities of the system. Not to then start using it, but to evaluate, what do I actually need to accomplish and how can this help me accomplish things? The other piece to that I would say is, systems were designed with a specific goal in mind. So part of that is also going to be not how can you make this system adapt to your process, but the system was designed in a specific way to help you achieve a certain goal. Evaluate that system for how it was designed and how it was created to be optimized, and how it is claiming to say, I'm going to help you make placements 3 times faster, or whatever the claims are, and really adopt that particular method and workflow. Because if you try to make a system that it's not designed to be, it's not going to work today, it's not going to work long term, and it's going to fall apart when the system then does any kind of updates, because the updates are based on how the system was intended to be used versus how some people want to force it to be used, essentially. And so you want to kind of take a step back and listen to them and their thought process and how they designed it. So even if you are in the market and evaluating ATSs, really listen to, what was this designed to do? What was this built to do? What is the optimal way of using it to get the results that I am looking for? And then figure out, can you actually do this? Because the reason why people switch vendors is because this new shiny thing is promising all of these much, much better things, but then they want to bring the old process and methodologies and make the new system fit that, hoping that the bells and whistles are just on top without them actually having to do anything. That's not going to work. It's very similar to if you want to get healthier and in shape, then you can't keep doing the same things. You're going to have to change some things. And so you might be working out, but it just might be time to actually up your game. Or it might be a matter of, I need to actually up my protein intake. I need to get some more fruits and veggies and things like that. I can't eat as many Pop-Tarts anymore, and cereals and chocolates and things like that. And so you're still eating, you're still working out, but the details of it, you're doing it a little bit differently. And so the same thing goes whenever you are changing any kind of vendor, is really evaluate it for what it was designed to do and how it was designed to be used. And then if that makes sense for you, if this is something that you really want to fully commit to, then dive all the way in. Mm-hmm. Jump in with both feet.
Not head first, or head first. You call. I love it. Well, this is a good one, Viv. As we said, we're branching into tactilosophy. So these are always fun conversations to have, to go, super high and then down into the weeds. So appreciate you as always for coming to join us for this.
Anytime.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you like this episode but you're not sure where to go next, we have a link to a similar one, and you can find that in the show notes within the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. If you ever have questions, send them our way, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes you 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. That was another great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time, bye, y'all.